Hello and welcome. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make the softest chapati that is flaky, delicious, and gorgeous looking. Whether you're a pro already at making chapati or you're totally green in this area, I'm glad you came and I hope that you benefit from this tutorial. Throughout the video, I will also be sharing with you my 8 tips for the best chapati, so please stay tuned. Now let's get started. I will be using this unbleached all-purpose flour. Any brand is okay. I'll be using this cup to measure flour. It measures roughly 125 grams of flour. If you don't have such measuring cups, use a glass like this one. They measure roughly the same. All ingredients and their measurements are listed in the description box, so please check them out. So now we will move on to measure the flour. I will measure 6 heaped cups of flour into this large bowl, and actually my first tip is on measuring the ingredients. So chapati making is not as strict as with cakes where you have to weigh everything down to the gram, but you must observe your ratios, especially the ratio of the flour to oil, because that's one thing that usually leads to chewiness of the chapati if the flour is too much and the oil is too little. So whichever cup you use to measure the flour must also measure the oil for consistency. To this flour, I will add 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of sugar, both heaped. This combination balances out the taste of the chapati perfectly. So mix in the dry ingredients. You can also do this by hand. Now I will add half a cup of cooking oil directly into the flour. My second tip is on this addition of oil. You will add cooking oil at 4 different stages of this recipe. This first addition is what makes the chapati flaky. The more oil you add though, the flakier your chapati will be. So you do not want to overuse oil because your chapati will literally flake off. I'm using 700 ml or 3 cups of warm water. Add a little at a time and knead. And once you achieve the right consistency, then stop adding water. Knead with clean hands or use a mixer. So that's the water that I had left after I had achieved a good consistency. So I just set it aside. You don't have to use all of it. After all the flour is absorbed into the dough, add another half a cup of cooking oil and continue kneading. This second addition of oil boosts the softness of your chapati and makes them less chewy as well. Yaani sio ile chapati yenye inahitaji utie bidii kutafuna. Hii unaweza kula hata kama una doze. Your dough should be smooth when ready. I like mine this soft. That's my third tip. Keep the dough soft because a tough dough is another cause for tough and chewy chapati. And my tip number 4, do not over knead the dough, as that could also result in tough chapati. After the dough was ready, I went ahead and sprinkled flour on it as well as on the bowl, and then I just laid the dough there and covered it and let it rest. So the dough should rest for a minimum of 15 minutes, but it can go all the way to an hour or more. It helps the dough relax, which makes the next step so easy. So cover with a lid or a kitchen cloth. All right, so now our dough has relaxed and we are ready to move on with the next step. And in this next step, we are going to create layers on our chapati. And so we are going to roll the dough out, apply oil, and roll it back up. And that's actually my tip number 5, that you should sprinkle flour, oil, you should apply oil and sprinkle flour to create layers on your chapati. So because I'm working on a smaller work surface, I'm cutting my dough into 4 pieces so that I can spread each, well enough so I can create those layers. However, if you have a large work surface, you can do this step once. You don't have to cut your dough into pieces. So I've cut mine into quarters. I'm now going to spread the first piece out. spread it out really thin so that you have a wider surface to apply oil, and then roll it back up. That way you have many layers on your chapati. A layered chapati is usually better than one that's just one single thick layer. So spread it out that thin, and then go ahead and apply oil. You can do this with a spoon, you can do this with a clean hand, but I choose to use this brush. Um, Apply evenly. It doesn't have to be a thick layer of oil, just thin enough, and then sprinkle flour onto it. This also helps the layers of the chapati to, to really be prominent once the chapati is cooked. So go ahead and roll up the dough, um, as you see me doing in the video. Uh, if you have a thick enough or a wide enough um, chapati roll, so then you don't have to cut too thinly. I'll show you that in a minute. But just go ahead and roll it up like I'm doing in this video, and then don't don't pull it or try to raise it up because it's so soft and it's stretchy. So just handle it gently. Go ahead and cut your chapati. So in my plan is to create 4 chapatis out of each quarter, so I'll have 16 chapatis in the end. So yeah, now go ahead and create such circles again as you see me doing in the video. Because my roll is thin, I have to press them to kind of shorten them and widen them. However, if you're handling a larger roll, then you don't even have to press them that much. Yeah, but the goal here is to create nice and round circles that you'll then later roll into your actual chapatis. So it's not a difficult thing to do at all. Just like pinch the ends and then push it in and make your circles nice and round, which will make your work easier later. Another thing, so as we roll this second one, another thing I wanted to share really quick is that do not knead your dough again after it has relaxed, because it will get bouncy again and very difficult to handle. So once your dough has relaxed, do not disturb it anymore. That's why you saw me handling it so gently while I was cutting it. I did not want to knead it again. Yeah, so let's do this second one really quick. Again, pinch the edges and push the dough in to shorten it, and then make nice circles like that. Try to keep your sizes even, of course, so that you don't have very large and very small chapatis. Okay, so now we have all our chapati pieces ready for the final set of rolling and cooking. So keep them covered because they dry out really easily. So now we are going to start rolling our chapati for cooking. So spread a little bit of flour on your surface, and then don't use too much flour because the chapati, when you cook it, it's gonna darken really quickly with that loose flour. So just enough to make it not stick on the surface. So yeah, try to keep the shape good here, although some people don't really care about the shape. But see, I've changed how I'm using my roller because I feel like I need more control on the roller, so I kind of press it this way rather than using the thin ends so that I can come up with a round chapati. You cannot make it round, don't worry. I think the best part is the taste, the texture and the taste of the chapati. Yeah, so as you roll your chapati, it should not be too thin, it should not be too thick either. A thin one will dry out, a thick one will probably come out not well cooked or just not good. So I don't know if you can see that thickness. Let's roll a second one. Um, I cannot estimate in terms of inches how thick it should be, but I guess your gut will just tell you. Yeah, so again, just try to keep the shape as round as possible. Yeah, you keep adding flour if you see that it's getting sticky, and flip it over and over as you roll it so that you achieve that evenness. See, so that's good to go. Just gonna lay it down, and now we move on to cooking. Moving on to the best parts, my tip number 6, cook your chapati on medium to medium high heat. Too high heat would burn them and too low heat would dry them out. Now, after I lay the chapati on the pan, I let it set, and then I flipped it over just as it was beginning to get brown spots. And I usually only apply oil on the top side. Some people prefer to apply oil on the underside. It's okay, but I like to only do it on the top side. And then, so after you've done that, flip it over and apply oil on the second side. Again, as you can see, it was just beginning to catch on the brown spots. And then as it cooks on the second time, it's gonna brown more and look really awesome. So now my tip number 7, rotate your chapati occasionally as it cooks to achieve uniform and even browning. So you can do this with a spoon. Some people rotate it with their hands. It's quite risky. So a spoon does just a good job. So as you can see, it looks really good. So cook on the second side as well and keep rotating it. Keep checking your heat just to make sure that everything is perfect, because you do not want your chapati to burn. So that looks ready. We are going to take it off the heat. See how awesome it looks? Now let's cook this second one, and it's going to be a little more quicker. So yeah, again, flip it over, apply oil, and then rotate it throughout. Uh, do not apply too much oil. If you use a spoon, there's a chance you could scoop up too much oil. Just be careful on that, because, and this is the fourth stage of adding oil, by the way. I hope you saw all the other, the first to the third stages. So this is the final stage of adding oil to our chapati. Again, look at how it has browned. It looks really awesome. So that's enough demo for cooking. So now let's go ahead and see how all the chapatis came out. So I'll just show you really quickly as they pile up. And this recipe is tried and tested, and it comes out perfectly every single time. Now we are done cooking. So my eighth and final tip is that if you're not serving the chapati immediately, keep it covered to retain moisture. So guys, here's our full batch of chapati. Let's take a look once again. All are nicely browned and soft. And always keep your chapati leftovers covered. Just that moisture is really important. Otherwise, the chapati will dry out. So yeah, that's the entire batch. I think the chapatis look really good, and man, they taste delicious too. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna flip this over and just show you how easy they fold, because when you make your chapati well, you're not going to struggle to fold it. So the color should be on point, the softness should be on point, and of course the taste is also gonna be on point. So I'm just gonna tear one piece here to show you how easily uh, you know it tears apart. It's really soft, and this chapati is great with stews, like meat stews, soups, but also vegetarian stews like with beans, green grams, lentils. And I do have all of those recipes on my channel, so you can check those out and try out chapati with various stews. So yeah, that's what it looked like, and it really tasted good. So now I'm just gonna lay this chapati on this bowl, on this platter, and you can present them this way, or you can present your chapati in there are like 1,001 ways to present your chapati. So whatever works for you. I encourage you to try this recipe, and if you love what you see here, please do subscribe, because I have more awesome recipes coming out, including breakfast chapati, which is made with butter and milk, and carrot chapati. So here I'm serving chapati with ndengu or green grams. That's the end of this video. I hope to see you in another one. Thanks a lot, and bye-bye.